Okay, for this tutorial we're going to real quick create a little trip calculator. Now I know this isn't that fancy of a calculator, but remember this is one of the first JavaScripts that we're working on, and the concept is to be able to move data in and out of text fields and have something happen to it. So in this case we're going to have a calculation that occurs. So for instance we have well, let's say we're getting 41 miles to the gallon. We have 10 gallons worth of fuel. I'm sure you can do the math. When we click display miles, it's going to say that we can travel 410 miles with that kind of gas mileage and that amount of fuel. Now, again, not a super fancy, tricky script, but this is the script that we're going to create nonetheless. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up a blank Notepad document, and we're going to begin creating our script. First I'm going to put a title here, and in my title I want it centered. Just some basic HTML here. Make a header. Mr. Cross's Super Trip Calculator of Justice and Excellence. Perfect. And close my H1 tag. And close my center tag. Great. So now that the important part is taken care of, we can actually start on the JavaScript. And we're going to do this in the head tag, and we're going to do our script language equals Java scripts. And I always like to end my script right away, so that I don't forget later. Now I'm giving myself a little bit of room to work in. This is where basically I'm going to put a function for my JavaScript. So this is going to perform the function of taking my two form inputs and turning them into some data and writing that data. In my body, however, I'm going to create a form. And in this case I want to create a form, and I want to give the name of the form, and I'm just going to call it my form. I know I'm being real creative, but that's just what I'm going to call it. You'll get a good naming structure set up as you work on larger projects. You're going to want something that's better than just my form. You're going to use particular naming structures that are going to make sense to you. Now what I need to do is I need to enter gas mileage, and I'm going to put a break. And then I'm going to do an input form. This is all basic HTML here. Input type equals, we're going to do text, so it's going to create a text box. We're going to give it a name of input box, and I'm going to give it a value equal to thing. So I want it to be empty. I'm going to end my little paragraph there, and then I'm going to do another break, and now I'm going to do enter amount of fuel, and I'm going to do a break, start me another line. Now I'm going to do another input box. I'm going to equal it as text again, and I'm going to call this one, I'm going to be real fancy here with this name, I'm going to call it input box 2 value equals, and then I'm going to do another one of these little paragraphs. Okay, and I'm going to do another break. Separate all my stuff up very well. Miles you can travel. This will be the part that's going to input our total amount. So whatever this calculator calculates is where this is what it's going to put. Now we'll do input type equals text again, name equals, and you can guess it, box 3 input box 3, and hopefully I'm getting this all in there right. We'll find out later, won't we? And I want the value to equal, and we'll just kind of go with our current theme. Now I forgot to capitalize these, so I'm going to do that. And I probably messed up a couple of little things in there, but it should be okay for now. And let's do our break again. And lastly, we need some sort of input button. So we're going to do an input type equals, and this time we're going to do button, and we're going to get a name of button, and we're going to give it a value of equals display miles, and then we're going to give it the onClick command, and we're going to tell it to, here's one of the tricky parts. This is we're going to actually call now the function that we're going to write in just a second. So onClick, when it clicks, we're going to write the text from this form into the function. So we're going to do write text. That's going to be the name of my function. I know that's maybe seems easy, but I'm trying to point at this. Write text could be actually called anything. I'm just calling it write text to try to explain what's going on. This form, so information on this form, and then I'm going to close it. And then one last thing we have to do, I'm going to center this form. So I'm going to do a center, and I'll go down here and I'll end center it. Okay, so I've done center and center, and I've got a nice little form, and I'm going to just go ahead and save this file, and then I'll open it, and this is what we've got. So right now we've got a nice little form, but it actually doesn't do anything. If I put data in here, I click it, nothing's going to actually happen. So this is where we've got to fix that. So we're going to go up here to inside of our script, and we have a function that we called earlier called write text, and it's from a form. And we're going to put our little end brackets there. Now inside this function, we're going to create a couple variables that are going to hold the data from the input boxes. So I'm going to create a variable called mpg, and I'm going to make it equal to the form input box value. Now that was the first box that we created, was called input box. So this, our form has an input box, and that input box will have a value, and that value will be given whatever we type into it. Okay, so that's what we're putting there. Then we're going to create a variable called fuel, and that's going to be form.inputBox2.value. So we're going to take the value from the second one. Then we're going to do this. We're going to actually just write all of our information. I could create a third variable that would store the two pieces of data and multiply them, but instead I'm just going to do a form input box 3.value, and I'm going to say that it equals, so now I'm just writing right to the form, equals mpg times fuel. Okay, so the input box 3 value is going to equal that total. Now there's let's go ahead and save this real quick and see what happens. Let's go back over here and we'll refresh this. And let's go ahead and type 12 and 24, for instance. There we have it. So if you have, if you're getting 12 miles to the gallon, but you have a 24-gallon tank, you could drive 288 miles. Now, hopefully you'll see kind of what we did. Basically, it wasn't anything too difficult. Our function took the information from the form, we created variables that inputted all of that information in there, and then we simply wrote to that form the values of MPG times fuel into the input box number 3. Very, very simple to do, and it'll help us do a lot of different things in the future with Java.